So, Brad, obviously your first main event here in the UFC. I think it's your 16th, 17th fight in the organization. Israel was in here earlier. He said you're only getting this opportunity because of him. He said you might be the blue corner, but he's the A side of this. What do you think about that?
Hey, he can say and think whatever he wants to think. Doesn't bother me one way or another.
Do you think you would have got this opportunity though if you weren't fighting, this hyped prospect, this new guy coming in with the undefeated record? Do you think eventually, UFC would have given you this chance to headline a card regardless of who it was against?
Definitely. I think if Bisping wasn't retiring, I think that's the fight that would have happened, honestly. Bisping is getting older. He has some stuff to deal with. His family probably not wanting him to, fight already and whatnot. But you think Bisping and me wouldn't headline a card? Crazy.
Does this feel familiar to you? You were on basically this exact same card last year.
Yeah, kind of, I guess, yeah. I was. I've been on a few tough finales, I guess.
It's interesting watching your demeanor when we talk about it. Is that you're almost amused in a way that you're obviously not bothered, but you're just almost amused by the way he carries himself. Is that right?
Yeah, I am. I get a kick out of it. I mean, it's one of two things. Maybe a mixture of both. Either one, he's extremely delusional, which that could be it. Or two, he's just one of those guys that needs to tell himself over and over and over, look at himself in the mirror and say, "Hey, you're the man. I'm the greatest. I can beat this guy. No, yeah, I'm gonna beat this guy." He's that guy. So I get a kick out of it. No matter what he does to prepare himself, no matter what he does to tell himself, whatever it is that helps him sleep at night, come July 6th, he's going to have to be in that cage with me, and all that talking and all his mental preparation or lack thereof is not going to help him one way or another. So, yeah, you're right. I do find it amusing. Every time somebody tells me, "Oh, this is what Israel said," I literally, it just makes me laugh.
So you're saying you feel like he's almost trying to convince himself?
Yeah, it's either he's trying to convince himself or he's just extremely, extremely delusional. But he's been around the fight game a long time, so I'm going to go with the latter and say that he's just trying to convince himself.
Have you ever been in a fight that you've considered personal, where you have real animosity towards somebody?
Not in a UFC fight.
How much do you want to test his wrestling and his grappling abilities?
I don't know. I want to take it everywhere. I want to show him that I'm the superior fighter, and no matter where that is, striking, wrestling, on the ground. So I see it going everywhere.
What's this camp been like for you? I know there were a lot of volcanoes back home in Hawaii. So what was that like for you preparing during this camp and seeing the troubles back home?
I feel like, that is one thing. I'll say luckily for me, my family wasn't directly affected. There was a time where, a little bit backstory. I'm from the Big Island. I'm from the Hilo side. I actually grew up in Volcano, which is about 2 miles away from the Volcanoes National Park. So hearing that, that sounds really scary. Okay, you live right there at the Volcanoes National Park. But I don't know. I'm not a geography major or anything, but I think what it is that we're kind of above the volcano. And so when it erupts and flows, whatever, it flows down. But there had never, in all the past years, even when we've had lava scares and this type of thing happening, there had never been really activity near my house. And at one point, the highway that passes my house, which is only about half mile away from my actual house in Volcano, the highway started cracking. Luckily, it wasn't a fissure. There was no volcanic activity, but it was scary. At one point midway, I did go back home to make sure things were okay, and in the event that there had to be an evacuation or whatever, I wanted to be there, help my mom and whatnot get the dogs out and the valuables. But it really is sad what's happening right now. A lot of people losing their homes, their land, their property, a lot of their belongings, their life, and then not just that, even the people that are not affected by the actual lava itself, the air quality is terrible. We took my daughter back home, and she actually got sick, ended up getting very congested, and that turned into an ear infection. So, really feeling for the people on the Big Island right now.
What's it like having the main event spotlight as part of International Fight Week?
Oh, this is huge for me. Like I've been saying, this is the closest thing we have to UFC Hawaii, UFC 9th Island, if you want to call it. But yeah, to get a main event spot on a weekend like this, right here in my backyard, this is huge for me.
Going back to Angela, Alima, Ray Cooper tomorrow, you, that's 4 Hawaii fighters in main events in about 7 weeks. What does that say about Hawaii mixed martial arts right now?
You know, I heard interview you did actually with Ilima, and you know she said she called it Team Hawaii Week, and I'm gonna go ahead and sponsor that right there. Team Hawaii Week, the Hawaii wave continues. You know, we have a lot of talented young fighters up and coming, and we're finally being able to hit the main stages. I feel like for the longest time it was just BJ, really carrying that the flag on his back. Then you had Kendall, and then now it's just an influx of us, and we have we have champions. We have Max Holloway, we have Ilima. So Hawaii has always been there. Hawaii has always had great fighters, but now we're just people are taking notice.
All the talk aside from Israel and everything, you've now gone through a training camp for him, prepared, you have your game plan. Is this guy, justified all the hype he's getting, the promotional push? Do you think he's, that good? What do you think about him just on paper as a fighter?
Definitely not. I would say if this was a kickboxing match, then well deserved. He has his kickboxing credentials. He's made a name for himself there. But as far as MMA goes, he's fought nobody. Outside of the UFC, he hasn't fought anybody. Inside the UFC, no disrespect, but he hasn't fought anybody that comes close to me. So, he's gonna get. He asked for this. He's gonna get it.
What did you think when he called? He called you out right away.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I heard it honestly, and it just went in one ear, out the other. Like I said, my focus was on Bisping. While Israel was calling me out, I was face to face calling Bisping out, and I really thought that fight was gonna materialize. Bisping didn't have a fight. In the past, he had agreed to fight me. This was back in 2012, so it's not like I'm somebody who he would never fight or whatever. And as far as the Bisping fight went, I was willing to go wherever. If he wanted to do it in his hometown, in his home gym, I don't care. I would have went wherever to get that fight. But so at first, yeah, like I said, in one ear, out the other, and then we tried to make that Bisping fight happen, and it wasn't happening. So Israel was next on the plate.
So would you have entertained this if it wasn't a main event?
I don't know. Probably not. I think I think the slot of the fight, where the fight is happening, and the opportunity of the card where I am on it, all that, etc., is more important than the opponent itself in this fight.
With that said, though, I mean, maybe this is a better question for after the fight, but with Bisping, you're looking for your opportunity there, fight forward champion. Now you're giving Israel the opportunity, it's his chance. If you win this fight, are you expecting to get your opportunity to fight, someone higher up, a big name where you can really move up?
When I win this fight, I definitely expect to fight somebody that's going to catapult me up into title contention. That's the fight that I wanted here. I cracked the top 10 with my last fight, and I think I'm sitting like at 8 or something. But yeah, that's the ultimate goal, is to get to the championship. And along the way, you'll have to fight these guys like Israel, but not every fight. Now, after I get through him, I'm looking onward and upward. I want somebody in the top 5.
Is there anybody in the top 5 you think you match up really favorably against?
I to be honest, I don't use outside of like I think it's Whitaker, Romero, and
Jacare.
maybe Jacare up there. I'll gladly fight any of them.
Yeah.
Weidman, yeah.
Yes.
But I haven't really really looked at it. I've been really focused on this fight, and all due respect, like I don't know. I don't see Israel as a problem, but I do respect them. As far as an opponent goes, you have to respect your opponents, and so I haven't really gotten to look past him yet. I do know that I do want to fight somebody up there. If I could get the Whitaker or Romero fight back, I mean, I know Whitaker's a champion, so it's probably not happening. But if I could get one of those fights back, I'd love the opportunity.
I mean, he is 3 fights in and already had this kind of opportunity. Is there anything at all that he's done so far that you've been impressed by?
Nothing. I'm impressed that he got this opportunity. That's about it.
He sort of said that, like, when we asked him to break the fight down, he said like, there was no way you were actually going to want to stand with him, so he could kind of predict the way it was going to go. How do you assess that?
Same way I assess all the dumb shit he says. A smile on my face.
How much of an advantage is your UFC experience? You've been in the UFC for years, whereas he only made his debut in February and only has 2 fights in the UFC.
As far as actual UFC and octagon experience goes, yeah, I'm definitely more experienced, but you kind of look past his kickboxing record. You know, he's been in there, I think he has, like 60, 70 fights. That in itself is experience. But that being said, those are all 3-minute fights. And even the championship fights are, 5-3s or something. So that's 15 minutes. That's a normal fight for me. And this is different. It's not kickboxing. This is MMA. You know, it goes everywhere. So, yeah, I definitely think I'm at an advantage there.
You had that stretch where I think you won like 8 decisions in a row or something, and then obviously got the big finish in the last fight. Was that just, something that happened? Did you do something differently? Have you turned a corner in your fight finishing ability? How would you gauge that?
Nah, because I feel like, I fought a lot of those tough guys, and I feel like even in those fights where it's like somebody that, may have been finished before that I should have, but it's not like my power became anymore. I've always had that knockout power in both of my hands, knees, feet, or legs. So, yeah, it's just, I just feel like as far as everything goes in my fight life, I should say, and that goes with my personal life as well, it's just coming together. And, I got to show that against Jocko, and I got to finish there. So I'm not expecting anything less here in this fight.
Israel said he was in favor of putting back Pride with the stomps and the soccer kicks. Or he said that earlier today. What do you think of that?
I've always been a huge fan of Pride. I always loved Pride. That's part of the reason why I fell in love with this sport is Pride. Ultra aggressive. I loved all of that. I've been on the receiving end of a soccer kick before. So, yeah, that would be cool if we could fight Pride rules. I would love it.
What was that like to take a soccer kick?
I didn't even know I got kicked. I didn't see it till it was in the Ultimate Fighter, and I didn't see it till maybe 12 weeks, 10 weeks, something like that. Some crazy amount of time later. Yeah, I got soccer kicked in the Ultimate Fighter. It was like a flash knockout. Soccer kick straight across my face. Hit the ground, got right back up. Didn't even know what happened. Had Seth Baczynski telling me sorry. I'm like, for what?
Was this in a training session?
No, this is in a fight. Yeah.
It's a long time ago, so I can't remember.
It was in a tough fight, yeah. And then I had Tito and all his team and coaches saying like, oh, he's faking it, this and that. And I'm like, faking what? Like, I have no clue. All I remember is walking back. I could feel like I was like a little bit like, I felt like a little bit weird, but no clue that what had just happened. And I remember walking back to my corner and John Hackelman just telling me, hey, like, sit down. Like, they had seen what just happened. So, my coach said, sit down. And I got back there and I felt fine. Like, I was like, what happened, And then all this pandemonium, like, it's in that little tough gym going crazy. And anyway, it ended up being a DQ. I had Tito and his coaches and his team talking shit and saying like, oh, I'm faking it, milking it, whatever. And I'm like, faking, milking what? Like, I don't even know. And, and they're telling me, oh, no, you got kicked. And I'm like, did I get kicked? But anyway, that night, the producers told me, they're like, hey, we watched it back. He's like, you got kicked square right across your chin, like right across your face. So, yeah, I can't really tell you what it was like because I don't really remember it.
So that was a long time ago. Chuck and Tito are going to be fighting again later this year.
I saw that.
What do you think about that?
I honestly, I couldn't believe it, but I guess, that fighting spirit never really dies. I feel like you see it all the time. These guys who step away, but, I feel like there's always that itch, and I'm sure it'll be like that for me. I'm sure at some point I'll be like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired of training camps and training and fighting and everything that goes with it. But I'm sure after a year, 2 years, whatever it is, I'll be in the gym and I'll be itchy to fight again. But I'm gonna go with, if you ask me for a prediction, I'm gonna go with Chuck all the way. I've always, in all the previous fights, I picked Chuck, and I was on Team Liddell, so riding it all the way.
How do you beat Izzy on Friday?
However I want to, honestly. However I want to. I really do believe that I'm the better fighter here. So wherever this fight goes, I'm winning.